Welcome to the bold analysis. The level of courage and the determination that is shown by the judges handling abduction cases against powerful decision makers in the country can only show you the appetite and the urge for the members and different stakeholders in this country to push government to account for the abductions in the country. Kipchumba Murkomen, the current CS for Interior, and the current Deputy President Kithure Kindiki were facing charges of being expunged from the list of lawyers, Register of Lawyers by LSK, over allegations of overseeing abductions in their respective dockets. And in a very interesting twist here, even though the two work for the government of Kenya and they're supposed to be represented in, their cases, or rather they're supposed to be represented in court by Attorney General, Kipchumba Murkomen resorted to acquire the services of the media-friendly Dunstan Omari to execute his case in court with the very strict line directions, something that I believe is a lie that politicians are saying for long, that he should not be asked about the abductions that happened in December, because the operations of the police fall under IG, and so the CS or the president do not give direct orders to the IG.
I raised this issue that when you look at that petition, the parties that have been put there, one, you are suing the director of NIS. NIS is an entity that cannot be sued, and it cannot sue anybody. The powers of NIS is purely to gather intelligence. Trying to bring in one Nuruddin Haji is purely out of place. NIS has no role in internal security. NIS has no role in terms of investigation. NIS has nothing into this matter. Number two, suing the director of public prosecution, one Renson Ngonga. He has nothing to do with investigations. The files will be investigated by the police and be sent to him. The only other relevant place the Cabinet Secretary for Interior comes is when he sits at the National Security Council. When he brings matters national police to the National Security Council. The National Security Council is chaired by the President, not the Interior Cabinet Secretary. Third, the financial autonomy of the National Police Service. His Excellency the President granted them the financial autonomy. The Constitution grants the police the operational autonomy and the command autonomy. Therefore, Kipchumba Murkomen is just being dragged into these petitions without any lawful or constitutional reasons or bearing to bring him on board.
Now, this rhetoric, or rather, I know there is a constitutional provision that on matters litigation, the IG is supposed to receive orders, probably directions, from RDPP, Office of Director of Public Prosecutions, from DPP. But on matters policy, they can receive policy directions from Parliament, or rather not from Parliament, from the ministry, that is from the CS. But that lie has been said for long. And those who say that are not telling you that both the president and the IG are members of the National Security Council. So there is a thin line between orders that can be given to the CS under the guise of from the National Security Council and orders that the president can give in his individual capacity. In fact, I am tempted to believe that William Ruto does not give some of those orders. Some of those orders are given by the oligarchs around. Murkomen was sued as a CS, but he chose to seek the services of a private lawyer instead of the officers at Attorney General. Something that the corridors mama, it really didn't sit well with the spirit of austerity measures. But why was Danstan Omari hired? I agree, I associate with those who believe that sometimes this is the lawyer that handles every case, any case. Mpaka unashindwa, in this law fraternity, there is no specialization. Whichever case you will actually see Danstan Omari, ask him and let him be there. But of course, he doubles up as a lawyer, but also a media narrative mover. I remember, if you look at the statement he's making, he's been insisting, and even before went to court, he's been calling press briefing and getting digital media around him to convince the country that we should not ask the inspector, we should not ask the CS any question on abductions because it is under the purview of the Inspector General of Police. I want to repeat here, that lie have been said for so long, but the truth of the matter is that some of those things that are done, if the president cannot order IG and the president handlers cannot direct IG. Do you remember some time when Rigathi Gachagua said that president's friends were ordering him on what to do and what not to do? Is there anywhere in the constitution where president's advisors are supposed to control the deputy president? No. And it is also in record that the executive can kick out IG if they want. And so because he is also working under them, they can kick him out. This statement, while packaged as a constitutional order, the president, however, has a latitude of issuing some directives to IG, not probably in writing or formally, but even informally. And this one, they cannot fail to act on. Now, in the court today, Kanja, the IG, and Amin, who are expected to be present in court in person, skipped the court session and they were presented by some junior officers in their respective offices. Something that did not sit well with the judge. And Danstan Omari, who was actually standing, who was the lawyer representing the government side, found himself in hot soup, and to some extent, after being given time to try to reach out, he interrupted. He actually showed some bit of an overreaction to the lawyers representing the 6 abductees, and was actually thrown out of the courtroom.
December. Kesi iliyowasilishwa na Wakenya 6 wiki iliyopita wakishtaki serikali na polisi kufuatia kuzuka kwa wimbi la utekaji nyara nchini imesikizwa tena leo. Mahakama hata hivyo imeshindwa kupiga hatua baada ya inspekta mkuu wa polisi Douglas Kanja, mkurugenzi wa idara ya DCI Mohamed Amin na waziri wa usalama wa taifa Kipchumba Murkomen kukosa kujiwasilisha kotini licha ya jaji Bahati Mwamuye kuagiza kufanya hivyo. Kama tu Jumanne wiki jana, Kanja, Amin na Murkomen waliwatuma mawakili na maafisa wa ngazi za chini kuwawakilisha.
The IG is not here this morning, and the DCI is also not here this morning. because as they prepared for court this morning, an urgent security situation requiring their intervention arose.
Jibu hili liliwaghadhabisha mawakili wa Wakenya hao 6 ambao walitekwa nyara mwezi jana na kuachiliwa Jumatatu hii, isipokuwa tu Steve Mbese Kavengo. Mawakili hao walitaka Kanja na Amin wahukumiwe na kurushwa jela kwa kukaidi mahakama mara 2 kwa mpigo.
There is nothing more important than the citizens' right to, indeed these are non-derogable rights, citizens' right to freedom and life. Therefore, to hear that Inspector General of Police and the DCI are engaged in more important deliberations. This country is not even at war when we last checked. There's no invasion. These are matters of life and death.
Wakati mmoja wakili wa Murkomen Danstan Omari alikiona cha mtema kuni na kufurushwa nje ya mahakama alipojaribu kuwakatiza mawakili wa Wakenya waliotekwa nyara. Kabla ya kutoa mwelekeo kuhusiana na ombi la mawakili Kalonzo, Odhiambo na Karua, Jaji Mwamuye aliwapa mawakili wa Kanja na Amin fursa ya kupigia mabosi hao simu kujua waliko. Ila dakika 30 baadaye,
Not been able to reach the Inspector General of Police, but I have ever spoken to his office. Yes. And I am informed, my lord, that the Inspector General left his office earlier this morning to attend an urgent security meeting.
Jaji Mwamuye mwishowe aliwapa Kanja, Amin na Murkomen fursa ya mwisho ya kufika mbele yake tarehe 27 mwezi huu. Ikiwa watajipa hamnazo siku hiyo, jaji huyo amesema hatakuwa na budi ila kuwarusha jela.
If the Inspector General of Police misses on that 3rd hearing date, I will go with option 1. I will cite, convict and sentence on the spot.
Baadhi ya waliohudhuria kesi ya leo ni
The judge is saying, if the fellows doesn't appear before me on 27th, then I will have no option but to throw them to jail for contempt. I've been saying that hapa kwa contempt, kama mtu amekataa, people should really face serious charges. If the fellows are saying they cannot go, of course they are busy, this and that. Francis Gaido was also supposed to appear before DCI on Monday. He did not appear. So he's also facing contempt, charges of contempt. And is not yet been able to appear, has not been able to appear. So if the big officers are facing contempt, why, and you try, why would the other small people not follow that direction? And I'm not saying it is in order to do it. But I followed the court sessions. Something I realized is the state is going to face a very rough session to navigate these abduction litigations. There is something very keen on that. I realized Kalonzo Musyoka, we were asking where was Kalonzo Musyoka, and I don't know, someone told us about it. He was in court today with Martha Karua representing the 6 abductees who were released and actually issued a statement on those abductions. The direction by Kalonzo Musyoka to represent, of course, to face the president in the courtroom and other to litigate against the state in courtroom, well, it's a good strategy. And I remember between 2013 to 2017, the CORD team, patterned by Raila Odinga by that time, they really pushed government, and they really won several cases against the state in court by that time. But I wish Kalonzo would not, the optics are not looking good for him. As a presidential candidate, he should sit out of court and have foot soldiers going to court. Yeah, being seen as handy, probably, you know, sometimes availability, when you become too available, that you're reduced now to a lawyer representing some of these cases in court, it's not bad, of course, because it is his profession. But again, that is my opinion. You can tell me what you think. May think should be able to hire, and even within Wiper Party, there are serious lawyers that can appear in court and litigate these cases. But of course, probably I will reserve my criticism on that because he understands better. Why so? Now, government is finding it rough. That's one thing I realized. In the court session, even if you look at the body language of the judges, and I can read something, it's not going to be very easy for them. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our videos. And thank you very much for supporting our podcast. We do this every day because of your support. I'm saying thank you. We are reaching to 100,000 subscribers, 3,500 share of the target. If you've not subscribed, kindly make sure you subscribe. There's some 4 observations I made in court. And this is why I'm saying that it is not going to be very easy. There's something that happened. When these abductions happened, when they started, the security agencies, the IG and the NPS, they made what I can say they made what I can say a blunder by saying we don't know. We are not the one. By trying to absolve themselves from it, it only left another option that if it is not police, then it is some criminal gang. And if it is a criminal gang, then the criminal gang is thriving in some sort of lawlessness. So if it is a criminal gang, then it's serving some interest of the political class. So after week 1, a very solitary sound, a very solid narrative of we don't know, we are not the one, the government the Kenyans pushed the state to ICC and said, if they're saying we don't know, then we're in some sort of lawlessness. As we thought it is the state, but the state are saying they don't know. And of course they cannot say they know because they will be asked, why don't you bring them to court? So this is what happened. You know, week 2, of course the 3rd week, the president said, that is week 2, these guys were missing for 2 weeks. The 2nd week, the president said, don't ask me about, ask the IG. Ask the IG. Remember, the question of ask the IG is very valid because whether it is state agencies or some criminal gang, the burden, the responsibility of ensuring that Kenyans are safe rests with the state. So, I think the IG and the rank and file in the security sector were thrown in the dustbin. They were really thrown in some dilemma. They thought the political class, and you know, politicians have the platform, they have the popularity, they have the microphone. They're the ones that attend Sunday services through to absolve themselves. The national police, the police rank and file, do not have the political capital to sell their side of the story. Now that kind of environment, and that's why they found themselves in that mess. Now it's making it difficult for them to navigate. The second thing is this. The judges can read the hypocrisy of the state in these instances. They can read that there is something we are not being told here. We're being taken through suckers. And let me tell you something. Murkomen is sued in his capacity as CS. But he chooses to represent himself as Murkomen and not as a CS. That is to provide a latitude of them saying, I'm not in fact, he wants his office to be disassociated with such cases. I just don't know how. And even if, and let me say, even if the CS position is only on policy, then don't they think then, if these things are happening, then there are policies that they can pass to create loopholes and to stop this, and they've not done less. So whether not abetting, then negligence. Maybe I'm overthinking. The other thing is a heavy interest of civil society groups. Several civil society groups are actually moving litigations on human rights. Remember when the protest on Monday? Why was it framed as women protests? It was framed as women protest because that is what some specific civil society, it's a specific civil society that was pushing it, and they wanted to make sure they found a protest being led by the women. The level if you look at the fellows that are representing, apart from the Kalonzo Musyokas are just the image. But the real engine of those cases is not the political parties. It's not even the LCK, the LSK. It's actually the civil society groups. And these civil society groups are deeply rooted in the court corridors. The other thing I realize, the way the state is going to find it difficult to litigate abduction cases is the judiciary has realized that the only hope for Mwananchi after the executive and the legislature went to bed. What am I saying? Senator Medu wrote a letter seeking, or rather asking a Senate to consider a special sitting so that they can have a special sitting on these abductions. And that request was denied by Kingi. Kingi said, and of course it's true according to standing orders, it is only either majority or minority leader in the Senate that are supposed to call for special sittings. Now, do you expect Junet or Ichungwa to call for a special, no, in the Senate? Do you expect majority leader in the Senate is who? Do you expect Arun Cheriot to move a motion seeking for special sitting? And it was declined. Now, the parliament is on recess and has not considered making it urgent that the issue of abductions is they actually discuss and talk about, or rather summon the IG on this matter. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can see there's this and they are going to drag in court. The more they drag in court, the more they don't appear. Like this tabia of saying I'm not coming, I'm not coming to court. It's not a good one, because at the end of the day, you show the public probably don't want to appear because of this and that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That is my take. Let's meet in the next.